Hello, T. Rodney Davis here, welcoming you to our second discussion in this educational series about the Diversity Visa Program. In our first discussion, we saw what the Diversity Visa Program is about. And in this second discussion, we will be considering the question, who is eligible for the Diversity Visa Program? So let the discussion begin. To be eligible for the Diversity Visa Program, you must meet two conditions. The first condition concerns your country of chargeability, and the second concerns your qualification. Now let's consider them one at a time. First, your country of chargeability. Your country of chargeability has to be a country eligible for the Diversity Visa Program for the year that you are applying for the program. Now, how do you become chargeable to a country? Three ways. You could be chargeable by birth, that is, if you are born in a country, you are automatically chargeable to that country. You could also be chargeable to a country by way of your spouse, your husband or your wife. If your husband or wife was born in a country, you could be chargeable to that country. And the third and final way you could be chargeable to a country is by means of your parents. This is not a popular way, but if your parents were not born in your country of birth, and when you were born, they were not resident in that country where you were born, you could choose one of their countries of birth to be your country of chargeability. Now, how does a country become eligible for the program? That country must be what we refer to as a low admission country, which means that country must not be one that provided more than 50,000 immigrants to the United States during the previous 5 years. It is the responsibility of the United States Department of Homeland Security to determine high admission and low admission countries. But you as an applicant can get to know the list of high and low admission countries by means of the Diversity Visa Program instructions. The instructions are usually published during the second half of the month of September, and they concern the lottery that begins the following month, that is in the month of October. Now, we are still far from the month of September. So in case you wish to have an idea of countries that have been eligible and those that have not been eligible in recent years, you could consult the instructions from the previous year program. It is true that there may be some exceptions, but generally countries remain eligible for a number of years if they have been eligible, and those that have not been eligible also remain ineligible for a number of years. So consulting the instructions from the previous year gives you an idea of countries that most likely will be eligible for the upcoming TV program. And once you are chargeable to one of such eligible countries, then you have met the first condition for entry into the Diversity Visa Program. So to meet the first condition to be eligible for the Diversity Visa Program, you must be chargeable to a country that did not provide more than 50,000 immigrants to the United States during the previous 5 years. And you could do that three ways. So that is it for the first condition of eligibility for the Diversity Visa Program. Now, in addition to meeting this first condition, you also have to meet the second condition, which has to do with your qualification. Now, when it comes to this second condition, you could be eligible by means of your high school qualification or work experience. Let's first look at your high school qualification. You must have completed full primary and secondary education which allow you to directly enroll in a college or university. The length of time that takes may vary from one country to another. But what is important is that the United States Embassy in each country is aware of the requirements that high school graduates should meet in order to enroll in a college or university. In some countries, it is a national examination. Once you successfully pass that national examination, you are admissible to a college or university. In other countries, it is a regional examination. And once you succeed at that examination, you are admissible. And as I said, the United States Embassy in each country is aware of those requirements. So once you go through the normal educational system and you meet that requirement, as someone applying for a diversity visa in the country where you met that educational requirement, you will generally have no problem. The problem usually comes in when your qualification is one that is not known by the United States Embassy in the country where you are applying. In such a case, you will have to prove that that qualification corresponds to full primary and secondary education that allow you to enter directly into a college or university. So if you obtained a certificate in one country and you wish to apply for the diversity visa program in another country, be sure that that certificate you have represents full primary and secondary education that allow you to directly enroll in a college or university. You could do that by showing any documents that prove that that is the case. Now, there is also the situation of vocational training. Not all vocational trainings are acceptable when it comes to being eligible for the diversity visa program. There are vocational trainings that are meant to provide skills to certain people in society. For example, a person who is going through some rehabilitation program and has received some vocational training. Generally, such training is not meant to further education. It is rather intended to give that person specific skills for survival in society. Such a vocational training certificate is generally not acceptable when it comes to eligibility for the diversity visa program. Now, on the other hand, there are vocational certificates which are equivalent of high school education, and they allow you to directly enroll in a university or college. Such vocational certificates are acceptable when it comes to entering the diversity visa program. The same applies to equivalent certificates. If after completing full primary and secondary education, you obtain an equivalent certificate, it is acceptable to enter the diversity visa program. But if you obtain that equivalent certificate without going through full primary and secondary education, it is not acceptable to enter the diversity visa program. So the issue of high school qualification actually boils down to whether your certificate represents full primary and secondary education that allow you direct entry into a college or university. Now, work experience. So if you are not eligible by means of your high school qualification, you may be by way of your work experience, but not both of them. You are not required to have high school qualification and work experience at the same time, no. Now, when it comes to work experience, during the previous 5 years, you must have worked for at least 2 years in an occupation that requires you to be trained or experienced for at least 2 years. Now, people have different occupations, and so the question that comes up is, how to determine whether your occupation is one that meets this requirement. The U.S. Department of Labor has a specialized website to that effect. And so what we are going to do now is to go over to that website and see how to determine whether an occupation meets that requirement. This is the U.S. Department of Labor ONET online website, and as we said, it allows you to determine whether you are eligible for the diversity visa program by way of your occupation. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop the link to this website in the description of this video, so you can click on that link and it will take you to this website. Once you are on this website, just move to the upper right hand corner here where you have occupation keyword search. Now you type in your occupation in this space and then you click go. So for example, we type in carpenter, and then once we do that, we click on go, and then it takes us to the following page, which provides the list of occupations that are related to carpentry. So what you have to do then is to look in this list and identify your occupation. All right, if your occupation cannot be found in this list, then you will have to choose one that is closest to what you do. In our case, we entered carpenter, so we have carpenter as the first option here. We click on carpenter and then it takes us to the page that provides information relating to carpenters. So once you are on this page, all you need to do is to scroll down the page to where you have experience requirements. Here is it, experience requirements. Now in this first paragraph that relates to job zone, there are two lines that are of interest to us, the first line and then the final line. So when it comes to the first line, as you can see, we have job zone. In our case, in the case of a carpenter, the job zone is 2. So in order for your occupation to make you eligible for the diversity visa program, your job zone should be at least 4. That is 4 or 5, because 5 is the highest job zone. So a job zone of 4 or 5 will mean that your occupation qualifies you or makes you eligible to enter the diversity visa program based on that occupation. And the final line shows the SVP range. That is what we have in parentheses here, but it also shows the length of time that is required for preparation, that is training or experience in the occupation concerned. So in this case, the case of a carpenter, it is 3 months to 1 year of preparation, which is below what is required for the diversity visa program. You remember that we saw that you have to have at least 2 years, and that duration will correspond to at least 7 when it comes to your SVP range. What we have here tells us that a carpenter does not qualify by means of his occupation when it comes to entering the diversity visa program. So you can go about applying that in your case to determine whether your occupation makes you eligible for the diversity visa program. So that is it when it comes to the conditions to be eligible for the diversity visa program. First, your country of chargeability, but in addition to that, your qualification. And that brings us to the end of today's discussion on who is eligible for the diversity visa program. Thanks for watching this video, and if you are not yet subscribed to this channel, go ahead and click the subscribe button as we move on to our next topic in this educational series about the diversity visa program. Goodbye.